Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
At 47, my life had settled into a quiet hum. Too quiet, perhaps. My husband, Andrew, and I were an ordinary couple, our days predictable until our son, grown and independent, flew the nest. Then, a profound quiet truly set in, bringing with it an unexpected, creeping sense of boredom and loneliness that gnawed at me. Our bedroom, once a space of connection, had grown cold. Our intimate life, once passionate in our younger days, had all but vanished, replaced by a heavy silence that deepened with each passing night. I'd often find myself alone with my thoughts, wrestling with a burgeoning sense of invisibility, a fear that my own desires had somehow dwindled into nothingness. Then came the bombshell. One evening, after a particularly silent dinner, as we sat in the quiet living room, Andrew broke the heavy stillness. "Abby," he began, his voice unusually grave. My smile faltered. I need to talk to you." His gaze, direct and serious, fixed on mine. "We hardly ever make love anymore," he said, his words landing with an unexpected weight. "How do you truly feel about that?" My heart dropped at the abrupt question. It was something that had been weighing on me too. I confessed honestly, I felt lonely too, but I didn't want to say anything because I thought you might be tired. At my words, Andrew looked a bit relieved, nodding quietly. "I see." A silence settled between us for a while. Then, he brought up something I never, ever expected. "Actually, a friend told me about swinging. What do you think?" Swinging. The word itself felt illicit, ripped from some salacious tabloid, certainly not from the quiet suburban life I knew. I had never conceived of such a world, let alone imagined ourselves in it. My first instinct was pure repulsion. "Can we really do something that risky?" I demanded, my voice sharp with disbelief. Yet beneath that shock, a strange, undeniable pull began to stir within me, a forbidden curiosity, a desperate, almost shameful hope that this could be the spark we desperately needed. Andrew said he'd heard specific details from a coworker. They meet regularly, go to resorts, have parties, and that's where they swap partners. Apparently, surprisingly ordinary couples participate. That phrase relationship rut strangely resonated. It was true we no longer had that passionate spark of newlyweds. If this could truly reignite our love, I held a tiny, almost desperate, glimmer of hope. My anxiety was immense. I couldn't bear the thought of Andrew being intimate with another woman, and I myself had absolutely no experience with other men. I'd never even imagined such a world. Nevertheless, I was torn by the conflicting feelings that if there was any way to alleviate this crushing loneliness, I wanted to try it. Finally, when Andrew asked, "If you're interested, would you like to go?" "I won't force you." After much hesitation, I quietly nodded and whispered, "Should we?" I honestly didn't know why I agreed. It felt like stepping off a cliff. But the truth was, the promise of reigniting the fiery passion of our early marriage was a siren song I couldn't ignore. This wasn't just curiosity, it was a desperate gamble, a last-ditch effort to breathe life back into our stagnant intimacy. So, Andrew quickly contacted his acquaintance, and an invitation to a swinging party arrived in an instant. The party was to be held in a luxurious penthouse in downtown New York. We were told that only mature, sophisticated couples attended. Hearing that we, as first-timers, would fit right in, a mix of apprehension and excitement bubbled within me. The party started at night and sometimes continued until dawn. Drinks and light food were provided, and though it was outwardly called a social gathering, it was where secret partner exchanges took place. Andrew and I talked it over. Our son had already moved out, so there would be no interruptions, and we decided it would be fine for one night. So, the night of the party arrived. Andrew and I put on clothes that weren't overly extravagant, but still looked good, and we got into a taxi. At the penthouse entrance, a host briefly checked our IDs, and as we went up to the designated floor, several couples were already coming and going. The moment the door swung open, we stepped into a spacious living room, awash in soft, suggestive lighting. A low, throbbing beat of sensual music thrummed beneath the murmur of voices. Tables overflowed with glistening champagne flutes, deep red wines, and delicate canapes. Already, several couples were engaged in hushed, intimate conversations. An intoxicating cocktail of expensive perfume, faint sweat, and something raw, electric, hung in the air, instantly quickening my pulse. At first glance, it looked like a simple social party, but I knew. This was a secret gathering for swinging. My hands were sweating with nerves, and Andrew looked anxious too. But the male host greeted us with a bright smile, saying, "Nice to meet you. Welcome. Please make yourselves comfortable." So we grabbed drinks and tried to blend in. As the party began, I noticed plush sofa areas and glass rooms deeper inside, some of which even had beds. It seemed everything would happen on this single floor. I had vaguely imagined that if we were to swing, it would be in separate rooms, but this gathering's standard was apparently to proceed together in the same space. Someone there said, each couple acts at their own timing, but generally, we enjoy it while interacting in the same room. I shuddered, but my curiosity about this unknown world was further piqued. Andrew was also grimacing beside me. His feelings were probably similar to mine. The rules stipulated that if something felt wrong, we could always say no, and coercion was strictly forbidden. Everything else was left to the consent of the adults. A simple explanation was given. If a man and woman agreed, they could engage in physical intimacy at any time. Andrew and I, being first-timers, nodded, albeit flustered. Holding our wine, Andrew and I stood side by side for a while, unable to join the conversations, but gradually, couples around us started talking to us. "Is this your first time? Have a good time. Who should we pair you with first?" And so on. I was amazed at how naturally the partner selection discussion progressed. A woman approached me, smiling brightly, and said, "Abby, nice to meet you. You're so much younger and more vibrant than us." I replied, "Oh no, not at all," but felt myself being swept away by this peculiar atmosphere. My husband Andrew whispered, "So, what should we do?" And all I could say was, "I don't know." Soon, the male host announced, "Shall we start choosing partners? We'll begin one-on-one, and then you can freely switch later." There were a total of 5 couples present, and 2 or 3 of them seemed quite seasoned in these gatherings. I clung to Andrew's arm, looking around, and found it strange that everyone was conversing so calmly. Finally, partners began to be decided, and a man named Ben, 42, approached me, asking seductively, "Abby, would you like to join me?" I awkwardly nodded. Ben was younger than me, tall, and possessed a powerfully built, muscular body. His intense eyes, gleaming beneath his close-cropped hair, felt like they pierced straight into my soul. His broad shoulders and sharply defined abs, clearly visible beneath his shirt, spoke of a raw, untamed masculinity that simply overpowered me. He was the complete antithesis of Andrew, a man radiating primal wildness. His sheer presence made my heart pound, a frantic drum in my chest, and I found myself shamelessly entertaining the most daring fantasies. The instant his dark gaze locked with mine, an electric shiver shot through my entire being, as if every nerve ending was jolting awake. With this man, I might truly experience something entirely new, escaping the dullness of everyday life. Andrew seemed to have paired with another woman. Our eyes met for a fleeting second, but I didn't know what emotion to show, so I could only offer a strained smile. Then, the music volume subtly increased and the room's lighting dimmed to a more romantic glow. Under the soft red and purple hues, the entire space became imbued with a palpable eroticism. Everyone began to drift towards comfortable spots, sofas, beside beds, or on plush rugs. Ben led me to a sofa, and though other couples were visible around us, an indescribably sensual energy filled the air. The mingled sense of sweat and perfume, along with hushed moans, heightened my arousal. Are they really all doing everything in the same room? I wondered, surprised, but it seemed they were indeed indulging in such intimate acts under the guise of a party. A couple in the corner of my vision was already deeply exploring each other's bodies. The man's ragged breaths and the woman's sweet moans were clearly audible in the dim light. Amidst this suffocating shock, Ben and I awkwardly exchanged pleasantries. "What's your name?" "Oh, yes, I'm." It felt surreal that such mundane introductions were happening in this intensely stimulating situation. In the center of the room, several couples had already begun to intertwine, their bodies merging in passion. My mind was a chaotic mess from the overwhelming spectacle, yet I felt an undeniable urge to continue. This is no longer an ordinary space. This is where all my inhibitions and boundaries dissolve. I scanned the room for Andrew and saw him beyond a bed, vigorously entangled with a younger woman. My chest seized. It was a visceral, guttural clench, jealousy, sharp and sudden. Yet, beneath that pain, a perverse flicker of excitement, of heat, ignited within me. Watching him, seeing his body move with uninhibited desire, a dark, primal part of me stirred, hungry for the same release. I endured a sexless existence while raising our son, and Andrew too. He still had desires left. A small shock ran through me. And that shock, combined with a strange jealousy, made me even hotter. My mind was a jumbled mess, and with a sense of what happens, happens, and perhaps my naturally high desires for sex awakening, I plunged into the next wave without hesitation. As a new partner's touch enveloped my body, I once again succumbed to deep pleasure. Ben's hands moved with practiced expertise over my body, each touch sending an electric current coursing through me. As his rough palms encircled my waist and his hot lips blazed a trail down my neck, goosebumps erupted across my skin. I grew steadily more aroused, my breath catching in ragged gasps. His firm body pressed down, the intense heat radiating from him a direct stimulant. More, deeper, I found myself moaning, a breathless whisper. As if he'd been waiting, he drove his thick, hard cock deep into my wet, aching core. The moment he plunged inside, I was gripped by a dizzying, exquisite pleasure, a sensation so intense it felt as if my entire being was being deliciously, thrillingly ripped apart. My senses exploded, every nerve ending firing, as if the entire world had dissolved, leaving only Ben. And me. His ragged breaths mingled with my desperate gasps, a primal symphony. A hot, undeniable wave began to surge from the depths of my being, rising, building, relentlessly pulling me towards the precipice. Finally, with a violent, all-consuming jolt, as if every sensation converged into a single, blinding point, my body trembled uncontrollably, and a raw, guttural moan tore from my throat. My vision blurred to pure white light, and I was consumed by an extreme, electrifying pleasure, every nerve in my body detonating in a sublime, shattering release. Then, without a word, another man simply approached, his eyes already on me. Ben gave a curt nod. "Yes, I'll head over there." And just like that, he was gone, moving to another woman. I was instantly confused. Already? So fast. A flash of disappointment mixed with an undeniable spark of fresh anticipation. My new partner was already moving in, his hands on me. My God, this is happening. Looking around, I saw the initial pairings had already completely dissolved. After that, partners continued to rotate. So and so, come here for a moment, or shall we swap? Were heard, and partners changed constantly in a flash. At first, we talked to choose partners, but as the atmosphere grew more heated, we'd intertwine without even a word. There were even moments when I was with multiple men at once. Ugh, I didn't plan for that. I tried to resist, but I didn't dislike it. Instead, I felt incredibly excited by the situation, my spirits soaring. I experienced a powerful sense of liberation, as if my suppressed desires were finally unleashed. Looking around, I saw similar scenes of group intimacy, and the space had completely transformed into a chaotic and provocative environment, something I could never experience in my daily life. In this vast penthouse, the lighting was softly dim, sensual music played quietly, and on sofas, on the floor, and on beds, numerous bodies were locked in passionate embrace. I was half-dazed, thinking, could this world truly exist in reality? The sight of men and women, by mutual consent, continually swapping partners and engaging in deep intimacy was indescribable. It felt utterly surreal. It was like drifting through a dream. Amidst it all, I grew accustomed to the situation, even boldly initiating seduction, feeling as if I had unleashed a new part of my own instincts. At first, my heart ached with guilt towards Andrew, but soon, I was so immersed in pleasure that I no longer cared. This is for me. I don't need to deny my desires. Meanwhile, as I sat on the floor, yielding to the moment, I suddenly caught sight of Andrew in my peripheral vision. Andrew was also fiercely entangled with a younger woman on a bed. His ragged movements and her excited moans captivated my eyes and ears. I endured a sexless existence while raising our son, and Andrew, too. He still had desires left. A small shock ran through me. And that shock, combined with a strange jealousy, made me even hotter. My mind was a jumbled mess, and with a sense of what happens, happens, and perhaps my naturally high desires for sex awakening, I plunged into the next wave without hesitation. A new partner's touch enveloped my body. I once again succumbed to deep pleasure. The hours of chaotic encounters continued with partners constantly changing, and I was with several men, reaching climax repeatedly in front of everyone, my body trembling each time. Each time, I felt a thrilling sensation, as if hot lava was erupting from within me. Andrew also seemed to have been deeply intimate with other women. The scene itself was extraordinary. As the night deepened, people, exhausted, were sprawled throughout the room. Surprisingly, no arguments or problems occurred. I realized again that everyone was engaging with mutual consent. I was utterly spent, my muscles pleasantly sore, and when I looked for Andrew, I found him sitting on the floor, drinking water. He smiled and greeted the young woman sitting beside him, and the moment our eyes met, he wore an inexpressibly complex expression, a mix of exhaustion, satisfaction, and something else I couldn't quite decipher. Is this the world of swinging? I thought, feeling my worldview fundamentally shaken. What kind of person have I become? I was confused, yet at the same time, I felt a strange sense of liberation. Andrew might have been as shaken as I was, but we no longer had the energy to exchange words. We ended up dozing lightly in that room until morning and then prepared to leave. On the way home, the car with just Andrew and me was strangely quiet. I looked down, unable to ask, "How was it?" and Andrew pretended to focus on driving. My mind was filled with the scenes of the previous night, and I didn't know how to process it. When we arrived home, it was our usual house. In that quiet, calm space, the memories of the night before felt like a phantom. Andrew quietly said, "Abby, I'm sorry for putting you through such a strange experience. Was it okay?" I looked at him and replied, "It's okay." I agreed to it, and besides, I didn't dislike it. We sat on the sofa together. After a long silence, Andrew suddenly pulled me into a fierce embrace. "When I saw you with someone else, I felt something. Intense jealousy. But I couldn't stop myself," he said, breathing heavily. I also said, "When I saw you with someone else, my heart ached too. But," and couldn't finish my sentence. In that state, we embraced fiercely, more passionately than we had in years, connecting deeply. Our nights as a couple began to burn brightly again, and we became madly absorbed in each other. When was the last time we were like this, spending time with my husband so intensely? From that day on, Andrew and I's nighttime hours increased, becoming as frequent and passionate as when we were younger. It was as if the past was a lie, and our days were filled with time just for the two of us. In the morning, my body felt a little languid, but I felt a long-lost sense of fulfillment as a woman. Andrew seemed to feel the same, shyly smiling and saying, "Was sex ever this much fun?" Indeed, it's absurd to think that such an abnormal experience as a swinging party could ignite our relationship so intensely. While it seems impossible by ordinary standards, our marital relationship dramatically improved in reality. Then one day, Andrew suddenly suggested, "Shall we go to that party again?" For a moment, I was flustered, but deep down, I realized I was secretly looking forward to it. "Do you really want to go?" I asked, and Andrew hesitated. "No, honestly, the jealousy is still brutal, but after that, we got so hot for each other, didn't we?" I felt the same way. Rationally, I thought, do I really have to endure that hellish jealousy again? But on the other hand, I desperately craved that foreign, out-of-the-ordinary space. Ultimately, we contacted the same group again, and a few weeks later, we participated in another gathering. There, too, several couples gathered, intertwined with each other, and spent a passionate night. Both Andrew and I endured the pain of jealousy, repeating the strange act of deep intimacy with others. The next morning, when we returned home, we spent another burning night together. To reignite a marital relationship in this way, conventionally, people would call it insane, but we were completely absorbed in that experience. A new secret and pleasure emerged between us, and at the same time, a peculiar cycle of rediscovering deep love for each other was created. When our son came home, we returned to being ordinary, affectionate parents, smiling as he chuckled, "Home is the most comfortable place after all." But in our hearts, a devil whispered, "Actually, we spend nights like this." I knew that if I told anyone I was swinging, they would be horrified. But the excitement of going to that party and the intense time we spent together as a couple afterward were becoming something I could no longer give up. As a woman who had begun to feel her decline, getting attention from multiple men and spending the night with them at the party offered moments of, "I'm still alive," a way to reassure myself. Andrew also chuckled, "Don't get too carried away," yet he still engaged with other women and made me jealous. The fact that this very spark ignites the couple is paradoxical, but perhaps it's the most honest human emotion. So, together with my husband, I crossed the line to overcome our marital rut by participating in swinging parties, and I immersed myself completely in that experience. But I don't know if this risky game can last forever. Someday, a major problem might arise, or someday, as we truly approach old age, we won't be able to maintain this current passion. Nevertheless, right now, I want to feel like a woman, and Andrew cannot stop wanting to burn bright as a man again. Our relationship has improved in a strange, unconventional way. The form of our love or trust might be impossible to define with a single word, but at least for now, we are living it firsthand. In the quiet house after our son has grown, tonight, too, we will hold each other close, recalling the sights from that swinging experience, the jealousy and the chaotic, intertwined memories lurking in the back of our minds. What future truly awaits us? We remain utterly unsure. But this much is irrevocably clear: the quiet, ordinary life we once knew is gone. We can never go back. And perhaps, in the depths of our newly awakened desires, we no longer want to.